Carrying my life in a backpack, worn with time. The nights grow colder, the days feel so long. Trying to stay hopeful when everything feels gone. People pass by but they don't know my name. They see my struggle but never my pain. I'm more than these clothes, more than this street. I'm just someone searching for a place to sleep. If you could see through my eyes, you know I'm still holding on. Every step I take, I'm still looking for home. This is a long road home, where do broken hearts belong. I'm chasing tomorrow with yesterday's dreams, holding on to hope when nothing's as it seems. I don't need riches, I don't need gold, just someone to remind me I'm not alone at the end of this long, long road. I'm praying I'll finally find my home. I met kind strangers who shared what they had, a smile, a warm meal, the best day I've had. They reminded me love still lives in this place. Sometimes it begins with a little bit of grace. So I'll keep walking till I can see a door that's waiting to open for me. Not just four walls, but a life I can own, a future where no one has to walk alone. This is our long road home. Together we can all belong. Every hand we hold can change someone's life, turning darkness into morning light. Because every soul deserves a place to stay, a chance to rise another day. At the end of this long, long road, love will lead us home.
Hello, everyone.
Oof. Oof. What a start.
Welcome to ConnectImpact Hub. Paulette, and I'm here today with you all, and we're looking forward to connecting. If you're here, please leave us a comment. If you're Team Replay, let us know you stopped by to check us out. And if you have something to share and you'd like to be part of what we're doing, reach out to either Paulette or myself or ConnectImpact Hub. Today's conversation is about when we're out and about, when we see an unhoused person, what do we see? And we're bringing some data today. I visited several places in California and also in Nevada, and definitely looking forward to having this conversation. And it's going to be as raw and real as possible. And with that, I'm the founder of ConnectImpact Hub. My name is Martha. I'm also a doctoral student with the University of Phoenix. And a lot of my research is involving the unhoused community. So shout out University of Phoenix. And with that, I'm passing it over for Paulette for her intro.
Well, I'm just her friend. No. Basically, Martha and I met through LinkedIn because we're two compassionate souls and we can't walk past. We are not those people that walk past. We don't walk past, we don't not see, we don't put our blinkers on. We don't go, I can't see, therefore it's not happening. You know, you can hide. You can put yourself under a blanket. You can not watch the news. You can hide from whatever you want to hide from. But the world has a reality. And until people sit up and realize what that reality is, we are in stuck. And I don't mean a little bit of stuck, I mean a big fat load of stuck. And Martha's got the numbers, Martha's got the data. I've also done some research, and after Martha's given you some of the information she's got, we'll talk about why you've got to take those blinkers off. Back to you, my love.
Thank you so much, Paulette. So I'm just bringing up my data. My little fur baby shut my computer off earlier, so everything I had up went down. So bear with me here while I bring that up. So I took a road trip the month of July, and I started the road trip in Northern California, and then down south, and then just recently Nevada. And throughout this trip, I witnessed, of course, the unhoused community, and it's there. Um, our folks are living with us, and I know that I've shared a little bit a glimpse of what I seen in the last episode. But I want to just share some quick data here with you about the data that I found. So bear with me. Sorry, I had it up. So here we go. So San Francisco has approximately 8,300 people experiencing homelessness. Los Angeles County has more than 72,000 people experiencing homelessness. San Diego has approximately 5,958. In Las Vegas, Nevada has approximately 8,000 people experiencing homelessness. Now, while I was there visiting, my question that came up during that visit is, where's the outreach team? Where's the cooling centers? According to my findings, is that there are multiple organizations providing outreach to the unhoused community. The biggest problem that there is the lack of housing. That's the number one problem, is that there's not enough affordable housing and support for the unhoused community. And so with that, as we're moving forward, and I was speaking with some of the community members, not the unhoused community, but people that live in those communities and are working in those communities, as we converse, my question was, what do you do do you do anything to help the unhoused community? Some people said no. They said they refuse to go to certain places or certain towns because there is a high number of unhoused members. And some people actually do help. They get their families together and they will go out and pass out food, peanut butter sandwiches, water. Some people are working, and then on the side they'll do that on their time off. And I also heard stories of, in particular in Nevada, one story that was shared with me was that when people come to Las Vegas, they'll play, and sometimes they will stay there and live in a hotel or a motel. And it will get so bad that they will use all their money and they will end up on the streets. And then they have no way of leaving the area. And I think about just from what I observed during my time there is there's young people, there's older people, there's people that I'm sure, they had an excellent life, but addictions or being in that area where the gambling, can't think of other words, but you know what I'm saying, can definitely draw that attention and that energy to keep going in those games too. I didn't see any billboards that says anything positive like, if you're having difficulties with so and so, this is a phone number you can call. This is a place you can go visit. I see none of that. We have beautiful buildings, and this is throughout the places that I visit. We have a beautiful streets, and then just a street over, we have people that are in real bad situations, missing limbs and wheelchairs and walkers. We have dogs in the heat that I seen. We have people that are laying in the middle of the floor, and the heat is just shining on them. The sun is just shining on them. And we don't have people out there checking on them. I didn't see none of that. And then I also witnessed that we're moving some of the in-house members away from those streets where we get a lot of tourists, and they're now being moved to areas such as freeways, overpasses. They're living in between the trees where you can't see them, but if you really look, you will see that there's whole communities that are there where honestly it's not safe to be. And so why are we seeing this? Well, there's not enough shelters that are at capacity. Like the number 72,000, over 72,000 people in Los Angeles alone are unhoused. So what does that mean? They're in every corner. They're being moved, but they're being moved to areas that they should not be at. Paulette, what are your thoughts on all of this?
I'm going to sit up a bit because I need to get into this. I've got a lot to say, and I'm going to try and not say too much. I want you to be the lead, but I kind of look at it from various points of view. So we've got the bird's eye view, which is the view where, what do you see? Okay, we see a person who needs help. We see somebody living in terrible conditions, and we go, people shouldn't live like that. Maybe it's mental illness, maybe it's addiction, maybe it's drugs, bad luck. It could happen to anyone. We've all said those words. I've heard those words so many flipping times, I can't tell you, right? But out of fear and discomfort, our fear of their unpredictable behavior, they might be scary, they might be dangerous, they might be this, they might be that. Because of that, we do nothing. Because of crime, because we hear about this word crime, we go, oh no, we can't go there with food because crime. Feeding them, well, they should feed themselves. They must be getting money from somewhere. No fixed address, no money. If you don't feel safe, fine. But then let's come up with an area that is near to where that underpass is, which is a drop-off centre of food. Let's always find the option of, but what if? Instead of, oh no, we can't. So for me, it's we don't want to go near there because it's scary. We don't know who these people are, blah, blah, blah. And I get all of that. I will willingly take it all on board. But I also say, if we all take that attitude, it will never change. And if we all take that attitude, those people are just going to die in the thousands. And that's blood on our hands because we knew it. We saw it. We might have been walking around going, I can't see it, but we know it's there. And so for me, yes, there's fear, yes, there's discomfort, but my frustration comes from, I know you're angry about it. I know you don't like looking at it. I know you think it looks trashy. I know it spoils the area. I've heard about people saying it's all about open drug use. It's all about drugs. They're aggressive when they're handled. I've seen it on the telly when ICE and those. I've seen it. They're vicious people. They're vicious. They damage property. They steal. One side of me says, if 10% of that were true, I think we'd be shocked. I would say at least 50%. I don't have the numbers, Martha may, but I believe that 50% of homeless people are homeless not through choice, through situation, not drug use, situational, lost jobs, marriage breakups, veterans,
I have a list.
children leaving home, people who are lesbian, gay, or from the LGBTQ
Mhm.
plus community is huge. Do you know the number of children that leave home because they are gay or get told pack your bags and leave? Go with your numbers, Martha.
Yeah, so I don't have the numbers, but I do have like what's the number one cause of homelessness. So lack of affordable housing, the rising rents, limited affordable housing, wages not keeping pace with the housing costs. That one's a huge one. We got here in Monterey County, the average rent in Monterey is $3,000, a little over than that. San Francisco, almost $4,000. And it just keeps increasing. And then we were just informed, I just heard today actually, that there may be increasing the pay rate, the minimum pay rate to $30 an hour, which at this moment is 20. So there's talks about that happening right now. But even that $30 an hour, that's not going to be enough to keep up with the rent. Also, job loss is another one. Medical emergencies, evictions. Once you're evicted, it is difficult to try to get into a new place because that will follow you. So that's another one. Domestic violence and fixed incomes that do not cover housing expenses. And then, of course, mental illness and substance use are significant challenges for many individuals, but it's not the primary cause of homelessness overall.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just find that that's the one thing. If you come away with one piece of information today, let that be it. Let that be it. That it isn't all drugs. In fact, drugs are by far the smaller part of the reason.
Yep.
When I've gone through and done my research, a lot of people, and I'm just going to speak from the heart, a lot of people don't like seeing something that they didn't choose, right? I live in a nice neighborhood. I don't want those caravans on my street. I understand that. I had a mayor locally who would not help us stop a traveller site in the middle of villages. So we've got like 5 villages and we've got one school. And the traveller site was going to be directly opposite the school. And we were being told there's no way there's going to be any problems. It's going to be fine. We've limited it to 10 caravans. But what they didn't tell us was that each plot had been sold individually to each caravan owner. So that meant that when they put 20 caravans on, the council couldn't take 20 people to court because they didn't have the funds. So very cleverly, the travellers sold the plots to each other, and that meant that now they were going nowhere. We were told there would be no issues, there'll be no problems, don't worry about it. 60% of parents took their children out of that school. The school 2 villages away, a bigger school, they had to turn their staff room into a classroom. They bought 4 porter cabins because they didn't want their kids going to school with the traveller children. Now, I kind of was getting a bit like, you know what? Give them a chance. Let's just try and give them a chance, right? And I was on the PTA, and as chair of the PTA, it was my job to introduce to the new parents, the newbies that are bringing their kids to join the school, about the PTA. And you can imagine we diminished, like we had 20 strong people to 3 because everyone left. And because we didn't leave, we were idiots. Everyone was laughing at us and going, oh. Anyway, all I'm going to say is this. During that conversation where I'm talking to the newbie parents, some guy says in the room, because we were in the new classroom the children would be coming to, look over there. And we looked, and on the preschool roof were 4 men. There were 2 other men inside the preschool, and they were attacking the oil tank of the preschool. The dads, and I didn't know what to do. They were up and they were gone, and they were running across the playground over to where these men were. They ran, they jumped. There were 2 cars. One was maroon, whatever the other one. They were teared away, but they didn't have to tear very far because they went straight into their campsite. Now, we had cameras, we had footage, we had everything. Nothing was done because no oil was taken. There was no crime. There was potential crime, but there was no crime. So I was told to back off because it was becoming a bigger issue. Because I've got a big gob on me, I told everybody, which was the right thing to do. Be aware that the same people that we're being told to be nice to are trying to break in and steal oil from the preschool that I'm the bloody accountant of. But that doesn't mean that everybody would have done that. There's a minority of bad in every group of people in the world. There always will be a minority of bad. Drugs or not, they just are. They're rotten eggs or rotten apples, whatever you want to call them. But they're just truly bad people. Now, what causes that bad? Monkey see, monkey do, or whether it is actually drug abuse or whatever the reason. But there's always going to be bad. But what I have found, and I'm going to say this now, the facts show very clearly everything that you said, whether it was physical disability, mental illness, financial crisis, family breakdown, domestic abuse, whether it is the lack of affordable housing, whether it's veterans, all of these people are not bad. Okay? That's the fact you go away with today. The fact is that there is a huge number of good people, huge number of good people who find themselves in this situation, and there is a percentage of people who are drug addicts, thieves, bad people. And the reason they're thieving and stealing is to fuel their addiction. So don't be mistaken about the why, okay? But the key that I want to get over today, and I want Martha to really bang home, is this. Why do people run? Why do people run away? They run away because they're embarrassed. They've owed money. They can't afford to pay the money. It's easier to pack the car, run, hide, live in the car, live in the car park, whatever. Don't tell the children why we're living in the car. It's an adventure. The kids, the first thing they do is, tell and see, or whatever you call it, over the children. Oh, we're now living in our car. Bang, bosh, it is out, right?
Mm-hmm.
The point is this: those people were able to, they could have sorted it out with the right people in the middle mediating, saying, let's reduce the rent for this period. That will get you out of trouble. And then gradually you'll build yourself back up again and you'll get on top of it. Surely that is a better solution than the run.
Yeah.
But they don't know that that is a way. They don't know that that offer is available to them, Martha.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's the biggest issue for me.
So as you were saying that, Paulette, I've been doing a lot of driving. There's been a lot of thinking and through all of this also. And I have to say, and I don't want to be pointing fingers at all, but we have to support the youth. There has to be more support for the youth, because we have people that are growing up in homes where love is not shown, and then they go to the streets to find that love. And just watching what I've been watching, even I went to the border between San Diego and Mexico, and young ladies, completely blank face, lost, walking. And I'm like, where's their parents? Where is the family? And they're walking in this place where no person should be walking by themselves, especially at night. But it really makes me think, Paulette, and friends who may be listening, we are not doing enough in the schools. And I have to say that it's our schools. And we have people that are in foster care. We have people that are growing up in broken homes where they're not feeling love from their parents. Their parents may be remarried. And I'm speaking, there's a case that's very near to my heart right now. And I'm watching and I'm listening, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to step in here, because imagine how many people may be experiencing this right now, youth who are at home, they have a roof over their head, but they're empty inside. And then we have people that are walking on the streets and they're empty. Even if they had a roof over their head, they would still feel empty.
And that feeling of not being seen, not being heard, and not being valued are the three things that, as soon as a child feels like that, they become broken. They're the three things that we all talk about: being seen, being heard, and being valued. As soon as those three things are gone, you've got broken. And once you've got broken, it's so hard to get trust back. And it's so hard to get that feeling that somebody could love me, because I am unlovable, because that's what I've been told. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I've been told all my
Mm-hmm.
life. That child becomes an adult who doesn't know how to love, doesn't know how to form relationships, knows how to have sex, knows how to make babies, but leaves a trail of destruction and broken relationships in their midst.
Mm-hmm.
Because unfortunately, monkey see, monkey do. That is how it is. We are, I hate to say this, fundamentally, we are animals. I know people don't like that term, but it's a fact. And what happens is, you watch and you learn and you take that information and you take that into the world. If we had an alternative way of teaching, which is, you are valued, you are loved, you are important in school, those affirmations, they would mean something to people. They would make those children go, yes, I
Mhm.
am, and make them feel like they have a value and they're cared for. And even if I don't get that at home, at school, I am, this is who I am. And
Mhm.
you have that conflict, yes, but who cares about the conflict? Because eventually the conscious mind wins and it will say, yes, I am all those things. And this is not who I want to be.
Mhm.
This part of what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing is not what I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be what I'm hearing at school. So the way I look at it, it's very simple. If we can't educate the youth, if we can't educate our kids to say, if you see other children around that are sitting outside shops and they're hungry and they haven't got any food or money, instead of judging them, which is our number one, that's the comment that I've had over and over again from every single report I ran was judgment. We stand in judgment. Did you know that? We judge. We judge by what they're wearing, what they're looking like, what they say, if they grunt, if they speak your language, if they look like you, are they the same color as you? There is so much that we judge in a moment. In a moment, we make all these decisions in our mind about whether we'll help or not. And 9 times out of 10, we say, we won't. And all that Martha and I can ever do is talk to you about having a different view. And the different view is so personal. It's personal to Martha, it's personal to me, and it's balanced. We're not daft. We're not stupid women. We understand the world. We've been around, we've seen it. I've been in the worst position of being homeless. Martha's been the same. I'm not ashamed of that. I was unwanted. I was an unwanted child. Hey, I said it, I've been to therapy. Um, but the point is this, because we've been there, we know what it feels like. So we will automatically have a different bias because we're going to try and help everybody because by nature that's who we are. But we can't. But what we can do is show you how to make a difference. And I'm saying coats in the winter, shoes in the winter, socks in the winter, gloves in the winter, hats in the winter, in the summer, cold drinks,
Mhm.
water.
Yep.
If you walk past somebody in the street who looks like they haven't had a drink all day, could you imagine if that were you? Would it kill you to go and spend $2 on a bottle of water? Really? Regardless of what color they are,
Mhm.
regardless of how you judge their clothes, would $2 kill you? And that's really where I'm at. I'm at that we can't fix the world,
Yeah.
but we can try and change you and your perspective
Mhm.
on the world,
Yeah.
on our world, on our little bit of the world. And I mean, we have homeless in Cambridgeshire, and people say, no way, it's one of the richest places. Ugh. Well, actually, yes, it is. But do you know something? It's also, unfortunately, a part of the countryside where the people who used to be able to work on the farms, like the lettuce cutters and the people that used to be able to work for free, like they'd get boards and lodgings, and then at the end of their 6 months of working on the farm or 4 months, they would get a payment. It wouldn't be huge, but it would be enough, a few thousand, to get them on their way. They're not allowed to do that anymore. It's against the EU law to just employ people on a no contracts hours, on a no this, on a no that. You have to actually have a bit of paper and they have to sign it. You can't just put them in a caravan and feed them and say, because it's basically slavery. That's the bottom line. You're paying them a minimum wage
Mhm.
to live on your premises And you can argue about how much money you're feeding them and how much eating you're giving them and whatever.
Mhm.
But the bottom line is the EU sees it as slavery, and therefore it's obviously been stopped. Now, that means all those Europeans are now jobless and they're wandering around Europe. And according to the internet, they go from one European country to the next. And they just go, we're not wanted here. We'll go here. We're not wanted here. We'll go here. And I believe that what's happening in Europe is what's happening in the US,
Mhm.
state by state by state, until they find somewhere where they're wanted.
Yeah. Well, here in particularly in the community that I'm in, which is in California, Monterey, um, we've seen cases where people have been told to go to a different city where they can get help. And so they go to that city, right? And the city they're leaving is obviously the nice city. And then they're going away from that nice city to more inland, and they find that there's no help there. So why did they tell me to go to the city? And then Los Angeles is getting obviously thousands of people that are coming in and they're staying. Why? Because they're hoping and wishing that the services will come quickly. And it's not. It's not. There's a lot of false hopes being given, and that's where it creates a lot of emotional that comes out from the members, the unhoused members, where the anger comes in, where they're coping with drugs or alcohol, or whatever other however they can cope with. I'm just kind of throwing out some examples, but we have to tell them with honesty, this is what we can do and this is what we can't do. We can't promise you housing. We cannot promise you housing because there's a crisis with the housing industry in this country. And there are many abandoned buildings everywhere in this country, but yet we have a significant number of unhoused members, which makes no sense. Makes no sense. And yet we continue to dish out money to support programs. And I'm not bashing any programs. I'm just speaking with what I've witnessed and I've experienced firsthand. And yet we have people on the street that have been out on the street year after year after year. I mean, I've seen people that have been out there for years, not by choice, because there's no place. They've been on waiting lists for years, sometimes 10 years, I've heard. And my grandpa, he was in Los Angeles for most of his young adulthood life up until he got really older. And he was waiting to get into low income senior housing. He had to wait 5 years. So in the meantime, the only reason he was able to get into the housing was because he had a stroke. And so they moved things a little faster. But if he wouldn't have that stroke, he probably still would be trying to figure out how he was going to pay his rent. And so, I mean, this is the reality. Like, why do we wait? And this happens so much, Paulette. I've seen this so many times where we have to wait until there's a crisis for someone to get help. I'll share another example. There's a social media influencer, and it's actually all over social media right now, who was unhoused. She became an alcoholic. She was all over social media. People admire her for her looks, just her kindness. And then she went to the streets and she looked like a completely different person. Well, she got stabbed a couple weeks ago. She got stabbed. And her family stepped in, and now she's heading to rehab, which is positive. But like, we really need to step in before the crisis. We can save more people from dying on the streets. I mean, just in my little community, there's people consistently getting killed through the train. There's a train and there's consistently someone's passing away there. So why are we failing our unhoused members? And they're just not unhoused members, they're family. There's someone's child that's out there. Young people, and there's even moms that are out there chasing their children who are out on the streets. They end up losing everything because they don't want to lose their kids to the streets. But guess what happens? They lose themselves to the streets because they're following their loved ones. So yeah, it's been this conversation really just the observation. I had my child with me, and my child seen, someone was at Target stealing some things. It was an in-house gentleman, and we were coming in, and security was all over the place. And we were like, what's going on? And the gentleman came, got a sip of water, and then all of a sudden security just surrounded him and told him to put the backpack down. And he said, what did I do? What did I do? They said, we seen you. We know you got stuff in your backpack. Put it down. And so the commotion and everybody looking and staring, and he's like, I don't have anything. And they took him in. They arrested him right there. They took the backpack and arrested him. And then just yesterday, I seen a mom. She was shopping with her kids. She had put some items in her baby carrier. The police stopped her. There's a lot of people right now that are facing financial challenges, and I don't hear often, come to this group. If you're a single mom, come to this group so we can see what kind of support we can provide you. I don't hear it at all. At all. I'm still a single parent, but as a single parent, you could be working, you could be having a roof over your head, and you could still be struggling financially, and you could be struggling mentally, even as a single person.
I'm going to interject at that point because I have some science, and the science basically says that economists and urban researchers have found that perception of disorder and negative influence can create exactly the behavior we just spoke about. They're hungry. Are they stealing electrical gadgets for drugs? Are they stealing food for their kids? Bear that in mind, okay? And I think that the comment that really hit home for me was one of the research papers, which I can share everybody with the information they want it, but the research paper said that multiple countries suggest that addressing housing, treatment, and public order together is generally the only effective way to solve these elements. So you have to address all of them at the same time. So housing, treatment, public order, and finances. So in other words, it's no good just giving somebody a home and then not showing them how to pay bills and how to manage it and how to do the things that you need to do, right? So the central challenge is that society is trying to solve several different problems under one label called homelessness. Some people primarily need financial assistance. Others are in a crisis, and they may need intensive psychiatric care. They may need addiction treatment. They may need long-term support. They may still need help with engaging behavior because they may be autistic or have learning difficulties and not able, using their ND issues, to communicate well enough with people that ask the questions They almost need someone with them as a chaperone to help them. The pragmatic approach is to recognize two legitimate goals, and they can coexist. That people should not be left to live in unsafe, degrading conditions on the street when effective help is available. And two, that there are public spaces that we know of remain empty, that are clean, that are safe, and that could be accessible for everyone. I'm going to use one word: COVID. During COVID, we were able to house everyone because everyone became a problem as a carrier. If we can do it because of COVID, why can't we just do it because it's the right thing to do? And the thing about compassion, and you and I have it in spades, and that doesn't help us really, because it makes us have these arguments much harder. But basically, if you've got a warehouse that could be turned into X number of units, if you've got a 12-story building that used to be offices that could be turned into 200 apartments that had like shared kitchens, like student accommodation, like you have a bedroom and then you have shared living accommodation.
Yeah.
Right. And you have somebody who lives in house, who manages and makes sure that there's no argy-bargy and arguing over who left the bread in the toaster and who stole the bread and whatever. You have a mum in that position, right? And what I believe is if we've created these billionaires, we, you, me, and the rest of the world have created these billionaires. Let's ask these billionaires to put some of their billions into creating a home. Because if they did something, I listen. If Jeff Bezos had Bezos Towers, I would be like, "Yep, I'll bow down to you, sir."
Yeah.
If Elon Musk decides to have Musk Towers, I will bow down to Musk Towers. I don't care what the name on the towers is. Facebook Towers, yep, no problem. If you get off your backside and do something productive with the money that you have, there are enough places out there that are empty that could be purchased for probably given to you by the state because they don't want them empty, right? They're just empty, ugly buildings at the moment, and they could be turned into homes for so many people. And until we solve the where they can go problem, we're always going to have a problem.
Yeah. So I know that right now we have this, it's called continuity of care. And basically this model is supposed to be targeting the housing and security for many of the low-income families and unhoused members. But what is happening is, yes, it's supporting in a way, but also it's failing. And I've seen this. I was working head on with this program under continuity of care model, and what happened was we would get these people in these programs, the housing programs, and we would apply for different housing programs to get them in for low income, but there was wait lists. And some of these people would charge even the application fees. And so what that would mean is whatever funding, which then was $5,000, they would deduct that money from that money. So it would just keep going down because of the fees that were being charged to apply. So how are we, and this is the frustrating part, and I'm speaking as an advocate, as a case manager, as a person that was low income and was in a very tough situation also, and living in a motel. and having to seek help. I didn't even apply for the programs. I found out afterwards. But this is where I'm like, why aren't we yelling it out out of the car, like having signs, come here and get help. And so this is why I get so passionate about what we do at ConnectImpact Hub is advocacy. We do advocacy. We are out there providing services to our members, whether it's low income or unhoused. And I'll share a quick example. We had actually a neighbor who had lost her job, and she didn't know how she was going to pay for her rent. And she had talked to me, and I said, I sent some information they had a careers event happening. And so then I said, there's a program in this county, in this city, that can help you with your rent. So she applied, and then I seen her a couple weeks later, and guess what? She got help. And so I'm like, if we could just share the knowledge with each other, right? Why aren't we sharing landlords, apartment property managers? Why aren't they sharing this information? Maybe they don't know. Why isn't the city sharing this with them? Like, we can get help for your tenants. Let's help them. Let's avoid them from becoming evicted or becoming homeless with their families. But we don't see that. We don't see that, Paulette. And that's where we're failing as a community. We're failing, and I'm putting we because we're not doing enough. We're not sharing enough information with each other. And if you know of a resource, share it. Don't gatekeep. Share it. If you want to help somebody, share your knowledge. If you have food, extra food, go outside and give the food out. I promise you, most of the time the people will accept. They will accept.
And the too good to go things, even if you don't want them, it's like $3 or $4, $5, $6, $7 tops. And then when you tell them you're giving it to the homeless, they'll give you a tray of donuts as well.
Yeah.
I had this happen to me. This is the truth.
Same here. Yeah.
And then Charles and he's like, what the heck are we going to go do now? He's like, what have you got me into? I get it. We're now walking the streets. So we're going to go walk around the park, make sure kids have got donuts. He's like, but what if they don't want donuts? Well, they'll want them. And we got rid of the donuts. But the biggest issue is we have this huge assumption that either they will want their help or the help will be turned down. And what I would love to see is for everybody to just step back and say, if I were in their position, what would I do?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is you'd accept the donut. You'd say thank you and take the food graciously. So why do we assume that 90% of the people are going to either A, attack us, or B, scream, shout, abuse at us? What they're going to do is say thank you. And if you get to the stage where it's too scary to go where they are, leave a note, okay? I mean, I'm talking about poster size note, and stick it in the ground and put food here, right?
Yeah.
Please drop your food off here. Put a big sign, if you can make one. Please drop your food off here for the homeless community. And people will drop food off because they're not having to go into the underground or the paths or in the woods and all that area that is scary, but they're still doing something, and they feel better about themselves for doing that. So if you've got a bit of wood and some paper, write a poster. Please leave. If we leave food here, will you take it? I can assure you the answer is yes, because they are hungry. So just think of ways that you can help however small, because we are a very small charity. We are a very small number of people involved, and those that are involved care with every part of their being, and we want to support as many as possible. So I say, don't go spending your money in the expensive shops. Don't go buying stuff that you're going to go, oh, I left them a blah de blah sandwich. They're not interested in mozzarella cheese and bacon and whatever else sandwich. All they want is a hot dog or a pie or a donut or something that's been left, that's too much to go at a bakery, at a chip shop, at a whatever shop. Pick it up, drop it off. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all we're asking, because you can't fix the problem, but
Mhm.
you can certainly help feed them.
Right.
Let's get a movement going where we don't do the whole nose in the air, I can't see that, I don't like it,
Mhm.
it's yucky. How about we go, that could be us, that could be our son or daughter, that could be our neighbor. And if you think about it like that, and I'm telling you, having been homeless, um at 15, nearly 16, and then again, as soon as I became my ward of courtship gate got given up, my foster family said, no, no, she can stay. They said, no, no, she has to leave, because she's a ward of court. She has to leave your house. And they're like, but if she is part of our family, we want her to stay. And they were like, no, no, she has to go. She has
Mm.
to go live in an absolute hellhole with a prostitute and a nurse, because that's what you do to 17-year-old naive young girls who've lived a life of hell, you know? And I'm telling you, from my perspective, from my position, all I wanted was someone to say, you're worthy.
Yeah.
You are good enough, right? And somebody offering me something that says that. That says, here you go. I think you're worthy of that sandwich. And you take that sandwich and go, oh, they offered me a sandwich because they gave me water because, you know, it's like you're giving them a second chance.
Mhm.
I believe that with all my heart, because I've seen it with all my heart. And I hate to say this to you, but those people who are living in townships, you see it far more than anywhere else. And I know you don't want to look at it. I know you don't want it to be there. But the only way we're going to get to move it on is if we get to help them, for them to want to move on.
Mhm.
Because don't forget, without trust, you don't trust anyone.
Right.
You won't even trust someone who says, here's the keys to your front door. They'll be
Mhm.
like, yeah, what's the catch? They won't trust anybody,
Yeah.
because trust has been broken. So I stand with Martha and say, just give them a bottle of water. Just
Mhm.
put the food down and say, there you go, there's food for you. Do
Yeah.
something as opposed to nothing. And if you can do more than that, if you can say, actually, I know somebody works at the town hall, I'm going to have a word with them about these empty buildings. If you know people who have the opportunity to possibly reach out, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's use inch, every inch of your knowledge and people that you know, to try and change even 5% of the problem would be massive.
Yeah. And, we are the solution to ending homelessness. Each of us are the solution right here, and we just have to advocate for one another. We really do. Um, Times are changing. There's a lot going on in the world, a lot going on in our communities. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of unknowns. Um, And if you really just take a step back and really observe, you're going to see a community of unhoused members. I witnessed this. They were pushing each other, and one of them was pushing another person in a wheelchair. Um, Another person was carrying a belongings while they were in their scooter with their dog in the heat, and they had an umbrella, and the person was helping them. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful things that are happening within their communities. And guess what? We're all part of their communities. They are part of our communities. These are folks that worked in our fast food restaurants where we eat, or even organic places where we eat, places where we stayed, or rented a hotel or motel. I mean, just think grocery stores. They're people just like you and I. They're no different, but they are someone's family. Um, and maybe they grew up in broken homes. Maybe they didn't ever have had love. They don't know what love is. So show them what love is. Give them a water. Like, you never know. My son was with me. We were in the Mojave Desert, and there was an in-house member who had a sign, and he was asking for money, donations at a fast food restaurant. And I had a cold water. So we went out. Well, my son stayed in the car, and I went out and I gave him the water. Guess what he did? He opened it slowly. It was like so slow motion, and he drank that cold water like it was like the best thing in the world. Water. So it doesn't have to be a lot, friends. If you have it in the car, or if you don't, you can share some change so they can buy themselves a burger or a soda or a drink. You can share, but don't turn away. I just want to thank Paulette so much for being part of ConnectImpact Hub, for believing in this mission and what we're doing and spreading the word. And Paulette, I want you to know, and all the friends, I'm really grateful that people do see what we're doing. And I'm thankful for that. And I want to again give a shout out to the University of Phoenix. There will be a podcast coming out in a couple months, and they're just as much part as well as we are of ConnectImpact Hub, and I'm very grateful for that. So what we're doing, it's being viewed and respected, and it's being taken in, and I'm just grateful for that. So we will be back in 2 weeks with a new episode. And if you are a veteran and you want to come and share with us what your journey has been with working with the VA, would love to hear from you. Would love for you to come be part. Our next episode will be around veterans. So we hope that you can come and join us.
And please don't be ashamed or embarrassed, because it can happen to anybody. It's happened to me. It's happened to Martha. It can happen to anybody. The reason we're picking on veterans is not because we're picking on you. It's because we know that there is a large number of veterans within the unhoused community. And we are saying we need to do something about it. And if you can come along and tell your story, it will be impactful, and it will help our argument to explain that people come home from the war and we say, thank you for your service and this stuff. And then you're homeless and you're you're vibrant, vagrant person, and we don't mind to do with you. And you're suddenly a bad person. And you went from the hero in the uniform to the scary person who lives under the woods or whatever, and that is the truth of the picture. That's the picture we're looking at. The veteran with the medals, and us all going, thank you for your service, sir, to stay away from me. You live under the woods. So just please have that in your mind, because that really helps you to understand and get a grip on who are these homeless people, because
Yeah.
the percentage is horrendous.
Yeah. And remember, we all have a story, and you are loved. If you may not think so, you are loved. So just remember that. And if you don't feel love, come join us here at Connect Impact Hub. We will spread the love. Me and Paulette, we got plenty of love to spread.
We're full of it. We're full of it. Buckets of it.
So we will see you all in 2 weeks. And again, thank you all so much and have a blessed day.